Jodie, you are back. I'm so excited to have you here with us today, particularly for this series of interviews in 2025, which is the New Year Healed Me campaign that we're doing at Black Girl Burnout. And when I thought about, someone who has their stuff together with their aesthetic and also more importantly has your life together professionally, like you link it all together. That's what's important, right? It's like it's important to know your aesthetic because it leads to so much more. And when I thought of that, I'm like, who is the person who could talk about this? It's Jodie K. Taylor on TikTok. It's Jodie. So I'm so excited. And of course, you showed up in your winter coat, fabulous as ever, starting us off. And I want to just jump right in. First, hi. How are you?
Hi,
Let's start there.
good. I am well. Thank you for asking. It is a little chilly outside, so I'm excited because I get to wear things like this. But otherwise, I'm really, really good. Thank you for asking.
Yes, and I'm super excited. Like I said, I thought of you immediately. There's very few newsletters that I actually read through. I actually read through yours. So you're one of the ones. We'll link to that at the
Gosh,
end.
honored.
It's great. It is great. And part of what you've talked about before on your lives and just in general is part of your larger framework of glowing up. But you've talked a lot about personal aesthetic. And why is that important for your life, for confidence, your profession? Like, why is that something that we need to care about?
Yes, I have two thought processes on this. The first one is the reality is we're constantly narrating to the world. I think part of your personal brand is controlling the narrative around how you show up on the physical plane. And so people are constantly taking cues about how you sort of curate your physical appearance. And they use those cues to learn how to engage with you. And so it's sort of like this unfortunate reality and that yes, could we all in an ideal world we could move through the world without people sort of placing us in specific boxes, but that's not the reality. And so you want to give people cues on how to engage with you. You want to give people cues on I mean, even in like a corporate setting, if you think about it, if you are a senior leader, there's a way to give people cues that when you walk into a room, people can kind of regard you as such, or they'll engage you as such. And there all of these subconscious mechanisms that people use in order to sort of place you, engage with you, find opportunities to sort of alley-oop your way. So I do think personal aesthetic is more than just, sometimes it can be devolved into just being vapid or the male gaze or things like that. The reality is you want to be able to story tell, and it's actually really empowering when you can own your narrative when you move into spaces. And the sort of second part to that is I believe like anytime I start a glow up process or advise people on glowing up, I always talk about starting on the physical plane. And the reason I offer starting on the physical plane is you begin to relate to the world differently when you think about an intentional sort of physical appearance or your like how you're showing up in the world. Um, the way that people relate to you and the way that you relate back to the world totally shifts. And I always bring up this book called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's an amazing book that essentially talks about the author was a plastic surgeon and he would do these surgeries on people and make like truly imperceptible changes. These aren't like deformities. These would be someone having like a bump in their nose and he would fix the bump in their nose and they would come back a year later and their lives were totally different. And so he became a social psychologist because of that. And it's not because they looked completely different. It was because how they thought people were perceiving them was differently, therefore how they showed up. So there was one man who was a car salesman and his car sales increased 3 times because he was now more confident and his self-concept and self-schema changed. And anyone who's gotten Invisalign or anything like that or whitened their teeth or braces, they can all attest that they start smiling more. I know so many people who've gotten Invisalign, braces, something like that. They are like, I smile so much more now because I'm not self-conscious about my smile. And then they're like, and then people smile back at me. And then I'm engaging in more conversations. And then people are more engaging at work. And it's sort of this domino effect. So I think sometimes there are some myths around self-appearance being just this like vapid male gaze, you're trying to appease to something. No, it can fundamentally like make your life, it's part of designing your life with intention and the same intention that you think about cultivating your career, cultivating relationships, you should also think about cultivating your appearance that way too.
I love that. And I love particularly the aspect of one storytelling, that
Mhm.
how you show up in the world tells a story, whether you want it to or not. And it's if you can control that narrative. I love that the personal aesthetic is the way to control how people see you. Like instead of, and of course, we live in a world where people have various ideas of what's beautiful and shallow ideas. And then you introduce also the concept of the male gaze. But this is true ownership. Like personal aesthetic is not about trend hopping and looking a certain way. It's about claiming a narrative that communicates who you want to be out into the world. And that makes total sense to me. I love it, which is why I love that you're talking about it. And that's in that one bucket. And then the second bucket is like, it is true. How you feel physically impacts how you feel about yourself and how people perceive you. When we're wearing our favorite outfit and our colors and we just got our hair done or we feel good about ourselves, the world rises up to meet that. And it can start again in telling that story about your physical and your aesthetic. That makes total sense to me. And for you, is that like been your journey to figuring it out, is saying like this is how I want to represent myself and I want people to perceive me?
100%. I'm kind of going through a style rebrand right now where I'm thinking about, particularly for like my women who are curvier, I think a lot of them can relate to this. You kind of get sucked into a very specific fashion aesthetic. As though it's really difficult sometimes to think of yourselves as more editorial or more. I just want to think about my fashion in a more elevated way. And so, yes, part of that is I'm now in my 30s, a couple years into my 30s. And so the perception of how I want to show up in spaces is just different now. I'm moving into senior leadership at work, or I am in senior leadership at work. So the sorts of priorities that I have when storytelling are just different for me now than maybe when I was 25 or 28. So thinking about storytelling as I'm now in this different era of what's not only like from a sense of appropriateness, but what really encapsulates how I feel and how I want to show up in this version of my life. So yes, that is absolutely how I approach it, is like, what is the story and the narrative that I'm trying to embody in this season?
And that leads us to this piece about, again, if we're not just chasing any trend and we're not just saying there's only one type of beautiful, how do you cultivate your own signature style? Like I think this is really important. This is the part where I want people to start taking notes, figuring out for themselves the road to their own signature style. Because I've heard you talk about this and seen you talk about this. And this is important. It's very different than just saying, oh, I need to look exactly like this person because everyone says that person's beautiful, right? That's not what you necessarily mean.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I think that's where sometimes we get really caught up, is understanding the difference between what can look good, period, and that's like an objective fact, versus what looks good on us. And so that sometimes requires a little bit more trial and error. So there's sort of like different ways that I encourage people to think about their personal style. I always say talk about doppelgangers. And so that's not style per se. That might just be like more silhouettes or colors. So if you find a doppelganger, someone who is similar to you in skin tone, in height, and if you're looking for like a new hairstyle, that's a really good way to sort of figure out who might be able to guide you, because these celebrities, they pay, quite frankly, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars annually to look their best.
Yes.
They're just copying what they're doing. Find someone who sort of looks like you, same skin color, same height, same like facial structure. That's a really easy way to at least get some like grounding around what might look good on you. Secondly, is just like spending time online and figuring out like what styles or silhouettes am I really drawn to? Like what is something that like if I see this as I'm like perusing Pinterest, I'm immediately like, oh, this looks really good. This looks really elevated. And so figuring out, almost like creating a Pinterest board, is oftentimes what I tell the girls that I work with as well, of just like, what are the outfits that you really like when you're scrolling Instagram? Take a screenshot of it, put it on a Pinterest board, and then start to see themes from those outfits. Maybe it's like, oh, you really like the oversized look, or you really love color, or you really love like that sort of classic silhouette, sort of like that quiet luxury, as they're calling it. So figure out what really speaks to you. And then on top of that, figure out what looks good on you as well. So there are all of these tests. There's a Kibbe test. There's the like the colors test, figuring out there's a contrast test, all of these tests that you can take. But I would honestly say the two things that I would recommend is start wearing these things and see what people compliment you on. And then secondly, take pictures in these things and see if you like revisit those photos in a week and see if you like how those pictures look. Because sometimes you'll put on an outfit and you're like, oh my God, I love this outfit. And then you take photos in it and you revisit it. And then it's like, wait a minute, this actually looks absolutely insane on me. So getting data and feedback in real time is a really great way to develop your signature style. And it will evolve over time, the more information and the more insights you get. But I think really just sort of like looking out, we have access to so much with social media, looking out into the abyss and seeing what really speaks to you. And then also using the data of like a doppelganger, of taking pictures, of sort of sorting the compliments that you get over the course of the week. And that can all help you refine your personal style.
I love that. I did all that. In the summer, I had this whole dedication of like, I want to know what looks good on me. I want to know body type and things like that. There's no shortage of quizzes and like color analyses that you can do pretty quickly. And you kind of intuitively know. Again, I like the compliment meter as being a way to say at least what colors look good on you, what certain cut of an outfit looks good on you. But there's so many free resources, which is really great. It's like I didn't pay for any of those things, and it drastically changed. There's things I never thought, oh, I didn't think this color would be my color. Now I live in it. And
Yeah.
I didn't think this aesthetic. I took a quiz and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm a more classic. I like clean lines, but I'm boho chic too. So I like to introduce little pieces. And that kind of brings me to two. Again, because it's storytelling. Like that's what we ground back into is like, what story do you want to communicate about yourself and what you want people to perceive about you? And so, like, I remember you talking about there's certain things, accessories that you like that are uniquely you. Like, it's just like, I like them. It's not about a trend. It's just about, I like this. And like for me, for example, I'm the boho chic element is that I love rings and jewelry. I tend to wear, I'm not for podcasting because of the noise, but I wear tons of bracelets. I wear rings on every finger. So I'll wear classic clean,
Yeah.
dark green full outfit and then totally be like blinged. Every hand has something on it. That's just how people know me. Like they know they can hear me coming down the hall. They can see it. It's a unique thing. And so what's another way for people to think about in that way too, like accessorizing or colors, like a way to create that story that's like, now I know this is Jodie. Now
Yeah.
I know this is Kelley.
Yeah. Something that also came to mind is oftentimes resorting back to sort of the things that like spark joy. Traditionally, as a child, so as a child, I loved wearing dresses. I was always wearing dresses, and there's a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a trouser and jeans girl, and ultimately I reverted back to dresses because there's something about that silhouette that I appreciate. I think looks good on me, and also it's something that brings me joy inherently. I wasn't socialized. I think sometimes we can be socialized out of the things that we like, but sort of
Yes.
reverting back to if you've always loved a particular color, that is a way to like integrate a signature. So once again, I think style part of it is um, eliciting and storytelling, but the other part is very personal to you and like being able to honor your unique sort of like art preferences and your unique sense of style. And so when I think about these signature pieces, I think about walking into a room and having an opportunity to cultivate conversation and connection is how I move through signature pieces. So this is why I like love this coat because it offers
Yes.
yeah, it's insane, but I love it because it offers an opportunity every time I walk into a room. It offers an opportunity for someone to make a comment, and now we've opened up and brokered a conversation about it. So I always think about like wearing a statement brooch is also something that I really encourage people to do because you can wear it on a dress. You can also wear it on a blazer. You can wear it on a coat, and it's something you can even like attach it to a purse. So now it's cost per wear is down because you're able to wear it a ton of times. Similar like with jewelry, you can wear it all the time, but also it offers an opportunity for conversation and connection every time you walk into a room. And I think that's really special. I think that's the point of making statement pieces is to make a statement and then offer opportunity. And then the second piece is signature. I think something that I truly believe in is that every woman should have a signature thing. As you mentioned, like people know that you're walking into a room based off of like the bangles and they can hear it coming. I think there's something just so powerful around you having almost like this signature in a room Some people have signature scents. Some people have like these signature pieces of jewelry, but something that is like uniquely yours that people can always sort of reference you by. It helps add to like the sort of like enigma and interest of a person when they walk into a room. And like I know some women, particularly some of my older mentors, like they'll never wear the color black. They'll always wear a bright color. And that sort of, it just demonstrates a level of like conviction and complexity to a person that I just really love. Or a woman who's like always wearing bangles or bracelets, or a woman who's, I used to be the woman who never wore flat shoes. I always wore high heels. And it just creates just additional texture to someone that I think makes it really interesting. So I recommend trying on all of these different things and also being very intentional about the spaces that you'll be in, because if you're constantly at work, maybe you think about what your signature can be at work, because that doesn't necessarily translate to brunch with your friend or at a gala. So really map out. And something else I encourage people to do is just map out your social calendar for like the next 4 months. Are you going to galas? Are you going on vacation? Are you mostly going to be in the office? And then also allow that to help you figure out what your capsule wardrobe or signature style could be, because you want your wardrobe to also work for you, storytell for you, but also be utilitarian and something that you can use.
Yeah, that brings us right to where I was going, which is like that is the part of where you now need to be practical. Like now we know like out here what we need. Let's build those basics and have a wardrobe capsule. How would you go about building it? What should you focus on? And then what are some examples and ways to build one that's not going to break the bank for folks?
Yeah. In terms of building a capsule wardrobe, the first thing I would recommend, as I just shared, is your calendar, because you don't want to have I think some people are like, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of gala dresses, but you go to a gala once every 3 years, you're not going to wear it. Um, or I see the other thing a lot where women will go to Zara and Fashion Nova and like Opali and buy 50 million dresses, and it's like open their closet. And it's like they have like 50 $20 dresses or 50 $30 dresses instead of investing your spend in a more intentional way. And so you'll open your closet and be like, oh my God, I have nothing to wear. It's just that you haven't really been intentional about curating an outfit from the clothes that you do have. And you have all of these like throwaway outfits for an occasion. We're going to vacation in Miami, so you bought 50 dresses, but now you can't wear them again because it's for a very specific time frame. So capsule wardrobe really helps you eliminate the woe of, oh my God, I have nothing to wear. I'm going to an event and I have nothing to wear. So I always say, one, use your social calendar to inform, but traditionally, most people will need a pair of denim, and particularly in this sort of work culture, most people can wear denim to work. You'll need a pair of trousers. You'll need a good like white button up. And then you'll need a good blazer. And then I say like a good dinner dress that could also be used for an interview if you really needed it. And then like a gala dress of some sort, if that is something that is put like a potential for you. And the reason I integrate gala dress is especially in cities like New York, you may get called to come to a cocktail event or a somewhat formal event super last minute. And there's nothing worse than having a no clothes that are quite formal enough. So you really want to ensure that you're meeting the level of formality. So having one in your closet, just even if it sits there for a month or two, just having that is really, really critical. But on from a day-to-day perspective, you want pieces that you can mix and match. So you can wear the trousers with the white tee, you can wear the denim with the white tee, you can wear the blazer and the denim, you can wear the blazer and the trousers, and now you've been able to 10x your closet. So that's really critical. And then that's where I like the statement piece to come in, because now you can wear the brooch with the white tee and the denim. You can wear the brooch with the blazer. You can wear the brooch with the coat. You can wear the brooch on the bag, the salad dress. And now you've really optimized your closet. So instead of having 50 pieces from Zara and Topshop and all of these places, you now have 15 pieces, but you're able to get 50 looks out of them. And they're probably better quality and they're probably more matched to your lifestyle. So when I think about places to shop, the number one tip I have is there is no one place to shop. And I think that's like the critical component. I do believe in mixing high and low, but truly go to Macy's, go to Saks, go to Nordstrom's, you can go to a thrift store. You can, I mean, obviously like some of these higher end brands or some of these ultra luxury brands, you can get free tailoring, and it's a sort of a different ballgame, but there's tons of mid-tier brands in a place like Saks or in a place like Macy's. Look for the blend of the clothing. Look for the fabrics that they're using. And I think that's the most important part. Like there's no brand per se, but if a dress is 100% polyester, it's going to wear and it's going to tear and it's going to warp and it's going to look crazy after a couple washes. So look for things that are wool, that are mohair, that are 100% denim, and then buy those 10 things and then get them tailored.
Yes.
To your body, and then that's it. You now have this wardrobe that works for you. Buy good quality, buy it on sale, tailor it, and now you have this really elevated wardrobe that you can wear to work, that you can wear to brunch, that you can wear on vacation, and now you have organized your spend in a way where you're able to buy better quality so it's lasting 5 years. And it's not like you're circling through 50 dresses from some of these fast fashion companies every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that don't last and that you don't always feel good in. The other thing is too, if you invest, you feel good. And the other thing you've talked about before, I agree with all of that, is renting. If along your journey to finding your style, I mean, we're not talking about this, but there's a lot of opportunity to rent from different things. I use Newly. I think a lot of people do.
Yep, I'm
It's
looking at my weight.
great for renting. Newly right now. And it's really great at capturing that. And then there's other like brands that have really high quality. Quince is one for me that has like cashmere and pure cotton and pure wool, like all those really great things that are at a much more affordable because of how they do the processes are entering that market. And so there's a lot of mix and matching. You're going to have to pay a little more. There is no fast fashion here, but the trade-off is you're getting more back. Like it lasts longer and you don't need a huge closet. Like that's what I love to hear. It's like not this consumerism, like you need 50 of something. It's like get two of really good quality things and mix and match it with other things.
100%. Right now, my closet is full of just a bunch of stuff that I've accumulated over the years. And I'm constantly going for the same 5 things because I can't even see half the things that are in my closet because there's just so much stuff. And I suppose it in this drawer and I'm sure there's some cute stuff in there, but because it is so packed, so having that capsule wardrobe of just like, and that also helps you create your signature, right? Like you can kind of be anticipated to wear these things. So yes, the capsule wardrobe, I think, is the best way to go in terms of owning your narrative, storytelling, and then also being intentional about your spend. And even if you are conservative with your money or spend, or you're trying to be fiscally responsible, say you're dedicating X amount to high quality pieces, and you will see that you will be able to get like 5 or 6 great pieces. And once again, instead of 20 million Zara dresses or fast fashion dresses, organize your spend in a more intentional way, and you'll find out that you're really able to make it stretch. You probably were just spending money so frivolously prior.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Jodie, how can we connect with you? Because obviously people are going to want to learn more as you do a lot of this, amongst other things. This is just the starting point, but you talk a lot about professional development, the personal narrative, and how it intersects with mentorship and connection. How can we keep in contact with you?
Amazing. My main content platform is TikTok, which is Jodie K Tay. So Jodie K as in Kyle, and then Tay Tay. And then also my website is jodiektay.com. And then in the as soon as you log on, there's going to be this email box where you can drop in your email and you will have access to my newsletter that I will say is one of the best newsletters I've ever read because I'm the one who curates it. So I recommend people to subscribe as well, where you can get glow up tips of the month and you'll get glow up homework and all of that good stuff.
It's excellent. I have to say, it's very excellent. I read it and I send it to people. So we will put a link to all of that in the show notes and in the workbook y'all should be working through so you can figure out what's your signature style, what is that wardrobe capsule, what are some brands that you need to be start thinking about, all in that. Jodie, thank you for coming on and educating us, getting us healed when it comes to our personal narrative and our aesthetic.
Love it. Thank you so much for having me.